Magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon.
I'm glad to see familiar faces and also new faces sa ating Science 11. Welcome po lahat sa Baon-Bidahan ng Science 11. Kamusta po kayo lahat?
Mabuti. Okay naman.
Mabuti naman po.
Okay. So, nais ko lang po ipakilala ang aking sarili. Ako po si Aimee Dupo mula sa UP Los Baños, tagapagturo po ng Science 11. Isa po ako sa mga bumuo ng mga modules po natin sa Science 11. At ngayong hapon po ay mapapakinggan natin na may dalawa po tayong panelists for this afternoon na magbabahagi ng experiences nila. Sila po sa dalawang yon ay mga original writers din po natin na Science 11. At meron naman din po tayong new bloods who are teaching Science 11 for just a few years to give us a fresh perspective. So may apat po tayong panelists this afternoon. And after the panel discussion, halo po ito. One would be presented live while the other would be in the form of video. Kasi ganun po tayo sa Science 11. We're very dynamic and flexible. Kaya po, ipapakilala ko po sa inyo ang ating apat na dynamic and very pretty panelists. Kasi girl power po tayo this afternoon. So our first panelist will be focusing her discussion on content. She is Dr. Zenaida Baonan. She obtained her PhD from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and she has 25 years of teaching at the University of the Philippines, Baguio. She is currently the head of the Biodiversity Research Management Program of the Cordillera Study Center of UP Baguio, and Dr. Baonan is leading the inter-university and multidisciplinary research funded by CHED Dare 2 entitled Popularizing Access to Biodiversity Information Data and Conservation Opportunities, or PABIDACO. Or Pabida ako. Mali pala yung aking pronunciation. She was a recipient of the Fulbright Philippine Agriculture Advanced Research Grant in the United States held at University of Hawaii in Manoa, Honolulu, Hawaii, with her research on culture and propagation of cone snails to serve as sustainable source of conotoxin. She has 30 years of experience conducting relevant ecological conservation researches, particularly on mollusks, with local and international collaborators. Then our next speaker is Dr. Annabelle Novero from UP Mindanao. So Ma'am Annabelle U. Novero is a professor of biology at the Department of Biological Sciences and Environmental Studies and a former dean of the College of Science and Mathematics, UP Mindanao. She handles classes in fundamentals of biology, cell and molecular biology, botany, scientific research process, undergraduate seminar, and Science 11, itong ating living systems. Dr. Novero also holds the rank of UP Scientist 1. Her research interests include plant conservation and utilization, bioresource assessment, and gene discovery. She is currently involved in 2 research projects as a project leader, the coconut somatic embryogenesis technology of DOST Picard, and the assessment of coastal bioresources in the Davao region. And this is funded by CHED. Our third speaker, who would be talking about activities in Science 11, she is Assistant Professor Ivy Amor F. Lambio. So Professor Lambio is MNH's curator, or the Museum of Natural History's curator for mosses. She is at present Assistant Professor 7 at the Environmental Biology Division of the Institute of Biological Sciences, College of Arts and Sciences, UPLB. Ivy recently finished her PhD. She will be finishing her PhD. And she obtained her MS Botany in Plant Ecology and minor in Genetics in 2007, and BS Biology major in Genetics in 1998 from UPLB. Her specialties include botany, genetics, conservation biology, and describes herself as a bryologist, plant ecologist, conservation biologist, geneticist, spelunker, and most especially cook. A remarkable teacher, Ivy has won the 2015 UPLB Outstanding Teacher in the Biological Sciences. Our last speaker is going to talk about challenges and how we move forward as a course. would be Assistant Professor Angel Queenie Dequito. So she obtained her BS degree in Fisheries in 2013 cum laude and MS degree in Aquaculture in 2017 in UP Visayas. She ranked 6th place in the Fisheries Technologist Licensure Examination, and she has worked as a technical assistant in the Fish Health Section of SIFDEC, or the Southeast Asian Fisheries and Development Center. She has also worked as an assistant in the DOST Picard Milkfish Program. At present, she is assistant professor at the Institute of Aquaculture, College of Fisheries and Ocean Sciences, University of the Philippines, Visayas in Miagao. Her work on aquaculture and its impacts to biodiversity can be viewed in UP Talks. So let us all give a round of applause to all our panelists. Okay, so let's start our talk this afternoon with a sharing of content in Science 11. Paano ba siya nagbago pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? So we have here Dr. Banawan to share her experiences in teaching Science 11 in these changing times. Jenny?
Can I just share my presentation?
And ma'am, nakashare na po yung inyong presentation.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm Zenaida Baonan, and tama yung unang pagbanggit mo doon sa project namin, it's Pabida ko. Okay, thank you, Doc Aimee, for the introduction. And so the topic assigned for UP Baguio is the talking point is on pre-pandemic to pandemic offerings and course content. Now, I think this is the old one, but anyway, so when we had our offerings of the GE course or the Science 11, then of course, during the first offering, there were a lot of us who had to meet and decide and look into the first module that was produced by the writers, and then we had to decide which of the activities we will be presenting to our classes. And then every semester we do the post-assessment, and then we do the pre-planning activities, and we usually create our Google Drive or also create group chat so that we can be hand in hand when there are things that we need to adjust, for instance. And then during the offerings of the Science 11, we offered it first semester of 2018-2019. So at this time, we offered 9 sections because Science 11 is a required course for UP Baguio. And so we had to cater to all the colleges to take Science 11. And you can see here, for instance, the total number of students that we catered for a particular semester. And then on the average, we have 36 students and 9 sections. During the time that we offered this, in the first semester, I handled 4 sections of Science 11. And during this time, 3 senior faculty members handled the course, and the rest are already junior faculty members. In the succeeding semesters, it went down to 271 students, 39 on the average per section, and we only offered 7 sections. So on the first semester, we actually catered to block sections because parang naka-integrate na yon doon sa mga courses na kukuhanin nila. But there are instances wherein we also accommodate upper year in sinasama namin sila doon sa mga block sections when there is a demand. And then once namin siya na-offer ng mid-year, that was in 2018 with 42 students. And then makikita nyo na parang dumadami yung number ng students per section, pero bumababa yung number ng sections na ino-offer. And itong mga successive na semesters na to, the Science 11 course was handled by junior faculty members. And then on the second semester of 2019-2020, ito yung biggest na number of students who took Science 11. And it was also during this semester that I handled 2 sections. And itong semester na to, ang pinakamalaki rin ng number ng students, 50 students per section, and we offered 8 sections. And it was also during this semester na nagkaroon na ng parang, di ba, yung na-stop yung classes, yung face-to-face classes because of the pandemic. And so we really had to make some adjustments. And it was also during this semester when there was a call for either giving a numerical or a passing mark, di ba, during this SEM. So we also had to consult our students, and majority of them opted for a passing mark. So yun yung parang binigay namin. All of the faculty who handled the Science 11 course actually gave a passing mark during this semester. And then we had to make some adjustments in the succeeding semesters dahil nga nag-continue pa rin yung pandemic. So wala pa rin face-to-face classes. And in response to the recommendation coming from the Office of the Vice President for Academic Affairs, so we only limited the number of students to less than 50. So mga 38 lang. And then in second semester, mas bumaba pa siya sa 27. Pero maintained na malaki pa rin yung number ng sections dahil nga kinikater namin lahat ng students, since it is a required course. And in the next slide, okay, so how were the modules taught? Of course, prior to the pandemic, can we get back to the slide? So prior to the pandemic, we had a face-to-face way of teaching the course. Although yung modules nga are already designed nga na pwede nga rin siyang parang gawing asynchronous, but then we were actually teaching it face-to-face in the classroom. And then during the pandemic, so we had to move to another strategy that is through asynchronous and synchronous mode of teaching. And in some cases, when there are students who would want to have a copy of the course pack because they cannot do the schooling online, so we have to send them either printed copy, whichever is their preference, printed copy, or a flash drive containing all the downloaded videos and also the modules. And there were also some shift into the deadlines and also into the timeline on when students are expected to submit their outputs. Okay, and during the pandemic, so we really give leeway for extension of deadlines, especially for the first semester we're in, di ba, parang magkakasunod noon ng bagyo. And so we really had to make some adjustments. And meron din mga students na iba-iba rin kanilang mga circumstances. So naging case-to-case basis yung bibigay namin ng mga deadlines. Depende na yun sa magiging reason ng students. And then, so we also made some modifications in our assessment. So prior to the pandemic, ito yung aming breakdown ng points. So there are written outputs for 40%, 2 long exams. Kinakat namin yung coverage ng exams from modules 1 to 6 and then 7 to 10. Yung coverage ng mga exams. And then there is also a peer and faculty evaluation na 10%, attendance and participation na 10%. But yung semester nga na nagkaroon ng transition, we opted for a pass grade. Now, on the first semester of 2021, so ito na nga yung may pandemic na, ang ginawa namin na modification doon sa assessment, ay inaccumulate lahat ng mga points na nasubmit ng mga students, and then we divide it to the total points. Tapos we still follow the same grading system. Kung ano yung 1 up to 3. And then meron din yung mga students who fail to submit all the requirements, so nabibigyan din namin sila ng incomplete. And then during this second semester, since I am on sabbatical leave, so I'm not teaching, but I requested my co-faculty to give me their modifications. So they said na pinalitan na nila from this assessment to this one. So may class activities na, individual and group work, the 45%. Binalik nila yung sectoral assessments, pero naka-upload na to dun sa VLE. And binalik yung peer evaluation, but these are already administered per group activity. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Jenny. So next, we'll be playing a video of the sharings on the perspectives of teachers teaching Science 11. Ito naman po is the presentation of Dr. Novero, si Ma'am Annabelle. And I'll also be sharing in the chat a word cloud for Mentimeter. Enter your descriptions of your teaching experiences in Science 11. Nasa chat po yung number. I'll be showing you the results of the word cloud later.
I am going to share with you the teaching experiences of Science 11 faculty in UP Mindanao. First, let me show you some data. We are on our 6th semester of teaching Science 11. So these are the data.
Maximize po nung video sharing po natin.
This data is broken down into the number of students, the degree courses of the students, and the outcome of each class. On the average,
Okay po, we're just fixing things. So habang iniintay po nating ma-share yung video, why not try out yung ating word cloud? Sagutan po muna natin to. Punta po kayo sa Mentimeter and enter the numbers on the chat box. Ang ating Mentimeter code is 83553029. Again, it's 83553029.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to share with you the teaching experiences of Science 11 faculty in UP Mindanao. First, let me show you some data. We are on our 6th semester of teaching Science 11. So these are the data from the past 5 semesters. This data is broken down into the number of students, the degree courses of the students, and the outcome of each class. On the average, each class had a passing percentage of about 95%, and there were only 2 failures recorded in the last 5 semesters of offering Science 11. Science 11 in UP Mindanao is offered under the Department of Biological Sciences and Environmental Studies. I'm showing you here the list of my fellow faculty members who handle Science 11, together with Professor Gomez from the School of Management. Professor Gomez and myself are original members of the Science 11 team. Moving on to some of the experiences of the faculty members, Faculty 1 handled modules 7 and 8 for remote learning. She made short instruction lists and selected only a few activities, but held synchronous discussion of the major concepts. For Module 7, she utilized an article on assessment of biodiversity using a local ecosystem example. And since this is her first time to teach this module, she found it too technical. For Module 8, she followed the suggested problem tree and solution tree, and one of her sections asked not to be given any assessment, but the faculty member did not agree. Faculty number 2 handled both modules 4 and 6 and prepared pre-recorded 30-minute lecture videos. She then let the groups answer the study questions and asked them to share the outputs in a Google document. And for the video experiment on natural selection, she asked the students to take a video showing how they conducted the activity to arrive at the values needed for the computations. Faculty number 3 found modules 6 and 7 too technical. For these modules, he had to prepare simplified lectures in order to give the students background in ecology and genetics for them to appreciate these topics. He found, however, Module 5 to be simple and appropriate for non-bio majors, and the students found that the activities were fun and highly interactive. Faculty number 4 taught Science 11 in the face-to-face mode. She found modules 1 and 2 simple and easy to follow, although module 1 was too much for just one session, so she had to split it into 2. For module 8 biodiversity, she added some more short videos on surrogate species, and she found that this was the module most appreciated by the students because they were able to identify biodiversity issues in their local community and were able to offer some solutions for the problem tree assignment. She also suggested that Module 10, Health and Wellness as Ecosystem Services, be delivered immediately after Module 8. Faculty number 5 handles modules 9 and 10. For these modules, she sent the study guide, reference materials, and rubrics well ahead of time, and she required the students to write a reflection paper on the impact of their favorite food on their health and management and conservation of living systems. This paper was intended to combine the learnings from modules 9 and 10 and also to link this to module 8, biodiversity. She extended the deadline as needed. As for my teaching experience in Science 11, I have always chosen Module 8 Biodiversity because this is a module I co-wrote with Dr. Joyce Flores of UP Cebu. Students find the problem tree and solution tree activity enjoyable, and I have found no problem delivering this module, but I have yet to try it in the current remote learning mode. Modules 3 and 5 are new to me. This is the first time I'm teaching these modules, but I find them simple and the activities are easy to follow. For this, I provided pre-recorded asynchronous lectures because the students told me in the first meeting that it is difficult for them to follow a synchronous session due to the unreliability of the internet. So I reduced the activities to what was doable only in 1 week, and I gave them 2 weeks to submit each assignment. And the assignments were the food web in the backyard for Module 3, and for Module 5, I asked them to draw the population growth and the survivorship curve of the Philippines using the 2000 data. And I also asked them to express what they think will happen to the population growth and survivorship curve in light of the current pandemic situation. I think this is all that I can share for you at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Annabelle. Our next panelist will be sharing her experiences on activities that we conduct for Science 11.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Professor Ivy Amor F. Lambio from UPLB, and I would like to share LB's brand of Sci 11 activities. As we know, the modules for Science 11 compose of actually 10 modules, okay? But for UPLB, we have reduced the number of modules from 10 to only 9, looking into similar to what has been presented, perspectives in living systems. We'll also be looking at the biological perspective of living systems. We talk about productivity in living systems, cycles and patterns, population dynamics, changes of population over time. Then we go into biodiversity, sustainability, as well as ecosystem services. It is a challenge for all of us to construct activities wherein our students will be able to understand the lesson while being independent of us teachers. In fact, in modules, when the students would receive their modules, can actually stay offline for the rest of the semester and only submit all the assessments by the end of the semester. Okay, some of the materials are still computer-based or online-based, but the students can actually opt to do it asynchronously with the rest of the class. Okay, so I have presented here a few of the activities that we have been doing for Science 11. Okay, the first one would be dealing on the oral traditions. Okay, this is under Module 1, Perspectives of Living Systems. In this particular module, students are encouraged to look into traditional practices of indigenous people, particularly that of oral traditions. Students have to do some research work, but instead of presenting it in a pen and paper type of submission, they are encouraged to be more creative in their submissions by making an infographics. Got it. So this is one of my students' output. Another activity that encourages student participation, okay, even in an offline setting. This is a listing of what they ate that particular day. So I usually assign this a day before. I will put it in the LMS. I ask them, or a few days before, I ask them, make a listing or take a picture of what they have eaten, either for breakfast or for dinner. Then make a list of the ingredients of the meal that they ate. This would encourage them or let them see kung saan ba nanggagaling yung mga food nila. Okay? And ultimately, include them in the food chain or the food web in that particular community. So before they start, I usually give them what I ate that particular day. So this was one of my breakfasts a few weeks ago. Okay, I give them an example of how the food chain would look like and how it would be incorporated in a food web that would include me as the end consumer. So this is a good way of teaching about productivity, okay, in living systems. Not just by looking at the prescribed mga food chains and food webs that are already available in the net, but actually making a new food web that would include the student themselves. Also, there are some activities. This one is from Module 6 on changes in population over time, wherein we encourage them to play games. This one is on natural selection using the pepper moth experiment. Online games are available, so we usually link them or put them in the LMS, the links to these games. But we also have to consider those students that do not have internet access or do not have strong internet access or might opt not to actually play it online. Okay, so we have the alternative activities always in place here, which will be almost the same in strategy as that of the online game. Okay, it will just need a little bit of creativity on their part. So there would be instructions on how they would be doing it. So in this case, you just use newspaper or old handouts, cut them into small pieces, and that would be used in place of the peppermorts that they would be playing in the online game. Okay? So the students can opt for an online, play it online, or can play it offline. This one. Lastly, to end Science 11, okay, since the last module is on ecosystem services, the student has to realize that everything is interconnected, okay, and that what they are experiencing right now would also be experienced, or might be what we are experiencing right now would be the products of which would also be experienced by future generations. So this is them writing to their future sons or daughters, okay, describing what are the ecosystem services, what are the resources of this current generation, and what the future generation would expect from it. So this is also a nice way to end up the whole course for Science 11. Okay, so there are many other activities that we are doing here in UPLB in terms of creating a good set of activities for the students. We actually have several activities for each module plan. Then we rotate them. Okay, so for this semester, it might be this particular activity. Then we rotate it for next semester depending on feedback of the faculty as well as the students. We might shelve some of the activities and will be utilized later on. Or even during semesters, the faculty can choose which among the activities that has been presented in the module, okay, to be done by the students. So yun lang po for Science 11 of UPLB.
Okay, maraming salamat, Ma'am Ivy. Our last panelist, Ma'am Queenie, will be sharing with us her some way forwards on how we can improve the offering of Science 11 and some problems that we encounter.
Good afternoon po. Let me share my screen first. Okay na po ba?
Yes,
All
po, Ma'am Queenie.
right. So I was tasked to talk about the topic way forward, learning from experience. So I would like to present the challenges encountered in teaching or managing Science 11 and somehow on what has been done and what needs to be done. Other things to share based on the survey I conducted to Science 11 teachers here in Iloilo. Kasama po natin ngayon, andito si Dr. Sadaba, Dr. Anyasco, Dr. Berlongan, Ma'am Wege. Ayan, hello. As much as possible, sabi ni Doc Aimee, gawin daw informal yung GE conversation.
Oo,
Okay.
chill lang tayo dito. Hello, Dr. Sadaba. Miss na kita.
Meron pa shout out.
Hello din.
All right. So, I wonder if you also had these experiences, and I would like also to know on how you dealt with such challenges, yung mga na-experience namin dito sa Miag-Aw. Okay, so first thing is yung sa course offering. So last semester, we only had here, based on the CRS, 1 section offered sa Tacloban, and then we have 8 sections offered sa Miag-Aw, and there are about 40 students sa Miag-Aw. So marami-rami, pero na-shock ako kasi mas marami pa pala sa Los Baños, 50 students per section. Kasi yung sa amin nga, 30 plus, nahirapan na kami mag-manage. So anyway, yun yung sa first semester. So yung sa second semester, mas dumami pa yung section. Sa Tacloban naging 4. Yung sa Miag-Aw naman naging 12. So nagdagdagan ng 4. But the good thing is, bumaba yung class size, naging around 25 na lang siya, which is good for us kasi mas madali na siyang i-manage. However, yung problem namin dito, kasi dumami yung sections, kumunti naman yung availability ng teachers or merong kakulangan sa teachers kung sino ba yung magtuturo ng mga nadagdag na section to accommodate new sections. So these are the challenges. Yung number 1 is yung increasing demand for the number of teachers. So yung nangyari ngayong semester is kasi nga dumami yung students, dumami yung sections, naging late assignment na yung mga ibang section sa ibang teacher. Kumbaga, yung sa experience namin sa fisheries, kasi priority naman ito na ibigay siya sa CAS na teacher. So, meron silang need for, nag-top na sila ng ibang teachers. So, nag-top kami from fisheries, and then halos mga nagtiteach ngayon ay mga bago sa Science 11. So, nag-top sila na the SEM is already starting. Kaya medyo nahirapan yung mga teachers from fisheries na mag-handle ng Science 11 kung paano siya gagawin. Nagka-cram siya actually lahat. So yung ginawa namin ay gumawa kami ng group chat so that yung mga teachers na bago, kung meron silang mga tanong or needs assistance in some activities, lalo na pag bago ka pa lang, yung kanilang reaction is overwhelming yung course pa. Kasi andun na kasi lahat, kaya na-overwhelm din na pagbukas ng Google Drive, ay andito na lahat yung mga activities, di ba? Nakaka-overwhelm siya. So yun. And also need ng proper coordination na siguro we have to expect na talaga na marami yung sections na may bibigay sa Science 11 kasi required siya as GE. So, kailangan na merong proper coordination from yung sa enrollment, tsaka sa college secretary, etc. So, in terms of activities and assessment, actually with the leadership of Dr. Sadaba, before nag-start yung semester na to, naayos namin yung modules. Kumbaga, dahil marami siyang activities, binawasan, minodify, ni-revise, para mas okay siya for the remote learning. However, for first timer teachers, medyo nahihirapan pa rin sila sa course pack. And merong nag-answer na some online links are not working anymore. Pero madali lang naman siya i-address because of the group chat. And then another one is, it is difficult to assess the level of understanding of each student. Kasi yung ibang activities ginawa na siyang group, 'di ba? Kasi masyado ngang marami. So mas mapapadali sa student as well as sa teacher if the activity is by group. Lalo na pag sa ibang module, you have 2 to 3 activities. Yung ibang activity is by group na. Let's say at least one activity in that module is by group. So, nilagay dito sa survey na it is difficult to assess the level of understanding of each student para sa group activity. Kasi baka yung gumawa lang ng activity ay 2 students lang out of 5. Although there is a peer evaluation, but to assess the level of understanding talaga ng kada isa is medyo mahirap for the remote na mode. And then next is on communication. Some students are quite unresponsive daw siguro sa group chat nila or sa LMS, medyo matagal yung reply. So dito hindi lang pala teachers yung minsan matagal mag-reply, yung students din matagal din mag-reply, kaya merong delay sa communication. And then another one is very few attend synchronous classes. I've experienced this also sa klase ko. As much as possible, I wanted to have an asynchronous class at the end of each module para sa summary, kung may questions sila or feedback. But sa first pa lang, module 1, 5 lang yung nag-attend out of 25 kasi hindi naman required yung synchronous natin, 'di ba? So, yun, konti lang yung nag-attend. So yung ginawa ko is na-record ko na lang yung Zoom meeting and then sinend ko na lang yung link so that others can watch. So masasabi ko na yung synchronous class is not really that effective to our end kasi konti lang yung uma-attend. But yung sa iba siguro na campus, baka okay yung synchronous class nila kasi baka meron silang incentive or mga pakulo para umattend yung students. And then another one, sense of fulfillment. This is actually not really discussed when it comes to sa teaching. Etong comment ng isang kasama ko na teacher na it is a struggle not feeling a sense of fulfillment in delivering the course as everyone continues to adjust with this mode of teaching or learning. Kasi sometimes, di ba, meron naman tayong flexibility in handling the course, but sometimes siguro yung we are questioning ourselves kung tama ba itong ginawa ko, yung ginawa ko sa students activities, okay lang ba? So we are asking ourselves if nagawa ba natin, na-deliver ba natin yung course objectives or yung module. So, yun yung sa sense of fulfillment. Kasi sometimes parang may kulang, we can experience that na parang kulang yung effort ko sa ganong module na yun. Yun siya sa sense of fulfillment. Okay, and another areas that need improvement, yung updating of activities. I think yung updating ng activities, kailangan talaga siya every semester. And then yung more real-time interactions, also yung sa student assessment. And something to share from the faculty, yung isa dito, the course pack needs to be reviewed. Maybe during remote delivery, there is a need to adjust the content or coverage of the course considering the limited interaction between teacher and the students and within students during group activities. Another one is, in the period of the pandemic, we must consider that cognitive processes and learning will be different in an online versus face-to-face mode. Thus, the modality of course content and delivery have to also transform. For example, focus on the learning of core concepts and messages. Knowledge that sparks actionable science will be relevant at this critical juncture in global development. And another, I did a synchronous synthesis of the modules with a short and simple class activity. They seem to enjoy the sharing. Main drawback is the attendance only 50%. Buti pa nga dito kay ma'am, 50% yung nag-attend sa akin, 5 lang talaga out of 25. And the next is make the output or activities more engaging despite the limited interaction between teacher, students, and within students. So I think this is one main challenge is on how to transform the activities more engaging, na limited yung interaction. Another one is online platforms seem deeply challenging for most of the Science 11 students. That is understandable in this current Philippine context. So given this reality, what are our alternatives? The online platform for Science 11 seem to create inequalities in the learning process between those who have better access and those who do not have. It is a very important GE course. We must find alternative ways of teaching the course. So I would like to commend yung sa pinresent ni ma'am kanina doon sa activity ng sa moth, black peppered moth, kasi meron siyang alternative kung ano yung gagawin if hindi maka-access online yung student. Doon ko lang actually na-discover, pwede pala yung gupit-gupit sa sa papel. Okay, and then this one, nakita ko lang ito sa template ng PowerPoint. We can use this format on assessing what have been done or what are we doing in delivering Science 11. The title is Stop, Start, and Continue. We can list sa start yung what can we do to improve our processes or yung ating ginagawa activities and what should we try next. And then sa stop, we can list here what processes are not working for us right now in the remote mode or asynchronous or blended, and what should we stop doing. And then sa continue naman, you can list here the activities or the processes that are working well for us and what processes should we explore further. So yun lang po. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Queenie. I think with all of the presentations of our panelists this afternoon, talagang it was addressing the 3 goals of this session to reflect on what we are doing right now given the pandemic, reinvigorate, making sure that the GE is still relevant, and then revitalize the way we teach this GE course. So umiinit po yung usapan sa chat box kasi excited po lahat ng mga original writers po ng mga modules na magkita-kita, so nag-attendance check na. So, i-shout out ko lang po si Ma'am Mary Joyce. Kamusta na po kayo? Wala na po si Sir Ivan kasi nag-retire na po siya. I did invite him to join in kasi maganda din pong makapagbigay din po siya ng additional perspectives kaso baka he didn't make it today. Sino pa ba? Si Sir Nathaniel, Sir Sadaba, kamusta po lahat sa inyo? Wala po si Ma'am Sol. We're missing some of our writers. And very, very close po yung ating mga module writers on Science 11 kasi po very bonded kami nung isinulat namin yung mga modules natin. Kaya very excited kami magkita-kita ngayong hapon. But let's start with our questions that were raised during the registration. So pwede pa po kayong mag-ask mamaya. Unahin lang po natin yung pinadala sa atin via the registration. And any of our panelists can answer this. Yung isang question is from UP Manila. Tinanong po ni Ma'am Rubite, why is there no more multiplier in GE courses? Tinanong po ito sa aming registration team. Parang meron yata multiplier only if the class size is 120. I'm not sure kung ganun din po sa ibang CUs. Totoo po ba ang chismis?
Ma'am Eileen?
Yes po.
Apo. Ma'am, meron multiplier ang GE course, yung times 1.33. Tapos iba pa po yung multiplier kapag large class siya. So pag more than 40 students.
Hindi na po siya nasusunod ngayon. With UPLB, ma'am ha? Hindi ko lang po with other CUs.
Sabihin ko kay VCJ Lo.
Sige,
pero meron po yun, ma'am, dapat. So times 1.33 pag GE course. Tapos kapag large class siya, meron ding large class multiplier. And yung definition natin ng large class is more than 40 students.
Oh, okay, naririnig po yan ng aking mga kasamahan. Meron po tayong multiplier.
At recorded to, ma'am, di ba? Recorded.
Opo, ma'am. Dapat meron po yun, ma'am. Nagre-reflect po yun sa FSR.
Ayun po.
So, i-check ko po kay VC, check ko kay VC J-Lo kung para matingnan din po niya.
Okay po, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Parang bigla pong tumaginting ng mga stars dito. Kasi po makakatulong po yan in recruiting other GE faculties to come in. So since nasagot na po yung ating first question, and we're very happy about it, ang isa pong importante dito na itanong is from UP Diliman, from Ma'am Nancy Gabriel. Nababanggit nyo ba sa pagtuturo ng Science 11 sa panahon ng pandemya ang usaping pangkasarian or gender?
Wala.
Anyone can start. Anong gusto natin? By age ba? Or ano? You can unmute yourself.
Ako, pwedeng sumagot dyan.
Sige, ma'am.
Aimee.
Sige, ma'am.
Oo, yung kasarian sa Module 5, kasi population dynamics, no, so yung meron dyan sa male-female ratio, so nababanggit yan. And sa konteksto ng pandemya din, kasi naririnig natin na mas tinatamaan ng COVID ang mga lalaki at mas maraming namamatay na lalaki. So natatouch ang issue na yan. Saka sa ecosystem diversity, meron ding ecological effects ang sex ratio variation, hindi lamang sa humans, nandyan din yan sa animals, sa isda, at sa mga halaman. Meron din.
Okay. Ma'am Ivy, may idadagdag ka po?
For UPLB, hindi naman talaga parang required yung turo ng gender issues about it. But yun nga, sabi nga ni Ma'am Annabelle, na kapag nadadaanan, especially for the modules on population dynamics, talagang nababanggit ang tungkol sa mga sex ratios. Okay? Tapos mostly ang ginagawa natin example for our students would be human populations. At saka yung mga roles ng humans, ano yung roles nila sa society, bakit tumataas ang population. So pahapyaw siyang nadadaanan, pero hindi talaga yung talagang centered on gender issues per se. But in terms of the pandemic, yung how population, yung virus life cycle, tinuturo yan. So parang that is our way of parang teaching our students how can we actually stop or at least curb yung growth ng COVID sa bansa natin. Ay, dito nyo maiintindihan sa population growth curves na ito, ano yung mga environmental resistance factors that can actually stop it. Para naintindihan nila yung science to what is happening around them. So yun ang aming mga inputs about it here in PL.
Lenny?
Oo, sa amin din sa UP Baguio, usually even prior sa pandemic, nababanggit na rin yung sa gender issues sa topic nga on population dynamics. And minsan nga nababanggit ko pa nga sa mga estudyante ko na yung mga same-sex marriage is also a way of regulatory mechanism kasi di ba they would prefer not to have a child. So medyo somehow nare-regulate yung population size. And also yun nga yung mga instances din na even in lower forms na ganun nga may bearing nga yung sex in population regulation. And of course, yung in terms of yun nga related na rin doon sa increasing population size na mas mabilis ang transmission ng mga diseases when a place is or an area is overpopulated.
Ang Queenie, nakapag-usapan
Yes
ba sa UP?
Yung sa gender issues naman po, nasisegue lang siya. I agree with Ma'am Annabelle, Ma'am Ivy, and Ma'am Zen. Nasisegue lang siya during the lecture, lalo na pag masaya na yung discussion ng isang topic na napupunta na siya sa issues, lalo na yung mga kabataan ngayon ay very particular sila and very sensitive sila sa mga ganong topics. Yung sa experience ko, pag yung topic namin ay nasa patterns and cycles sa courtship, napupunta na sa gender issues when it comes to courtship na yung topic. Yun lang po.
Oo nga. Sa amin nun, pumapasok din siya sa module 5, yung sa population dynamics, nagtatalo-talo sila, ba't daw mas maagang namamatay yung lalaki sa survivorship curve. So sasabihin nila, kasi daw, yung mga babae daw, mas expressive daw, pa nag-usap-usap, hindi daw masyadong nasistress, yung mga ganun. So doon na nagkakadebate. Yung iba naman mga lalaki, sasabihin naman daw nila, kasi yung mga yung mga lalaki na imbierna daw sa mga babae, kaya daw namatay ng maaga. So, yung mga joke-joke nila. So, yung mga nakakamiss pag face-to-face debates like that, di ba po? Tapos, we have additional questions from, ito naman is from UP Manila, from CAS Department of Biology. I think very relevant to sa atin. How do you teach and assess skills-based science concepts remotely? So, paano natin nababawi itong mga hurdle na to? How do we teach science concepts remotely? Siguro, unahin natin si Ma'am Ivy kasi siya yung sa activities part natin eh. Ma'am Ivy.
Actually, at the start, ang dami naming problems about yung assessment nga. Kasi iba pa rin talaga yung face-to-face learning, di ba? Parang you can adjust within, kunwari sa class, you get to know your students, di ba? You get to know your students, each personality, so you can actually adjust yung iyong activities based on that. In designing these modules for remote learning, kailangan mag-imagine kaagad kami, at least kami for UPLB, ini-imagine na namin kung ano yung type ng students ang ma-encounter namin during the semester. So talagang kailangan updated kami sa current, ano ba ang uso sa mga bata. Kasi naisip namin ang mga activities dapat patok sa kanila so that they will be interested to do it, to learn about it. Kasi we tried yung doing some of the traditional, ito yung papagawa namin sa students. Mangyayari yan, hindi gagawin ng estudyante, or ang mangyayari baka ma-force pa sila na to go into yung asking from other people instead of us na So mas maganda yung mga activities na yun nga. Parang natitikel yung kanilang creativity. So, meron kaming mga activities na yung parang hindi talaga siya yung more of yung pen and paper types of assessment, kundi parang, if you do this particular activity, yung katulad sinare ko kanina, yung mga infographics, the students have fun doing it. Makikita mo talaga lumalabas yung creativity nila. And by looking at that, makikita mo kung how much they actually learn from it. Kasi hindi nila magagawa yun kung hindi nila naiintindihan. Okay? Yes. So parang a little bit of fun, pero yun nga, meron kang nakuha naman pala ng estudyante or na-express nila kung ano yung natutunan nila sa modules by doing that particular assessment. So, gano'n.
Okay, does anyone in the panel would like to contribute more?
Amin naman sa amin sa UP Baguio nung next semester, yung succeeding semester na talagang fully synchronous and asynchronous na lang yung handling ng course. Nag-assign kami ng parang journal sa mga students wherein every end of the module, they could either make an essay on their understanding on how it applies to their daily lives. Parang ganon. So either in a form of essay or pwedeng in a form of a video. So initially, dapat sana every end of the module meron silang journal. Pero nung medyo parang nasa few weeks na ng semester, may mga naririnig na kami na parang overwhelmed na sila, na parang ang dami-dami nilang courses, tapos maggagawa sila ng essay every end of the module. So ang ginawa namin, nireduce namin from 10 essays to 3 essays na lang. So parang kinategorize na lang namin na yung mga related na mga modules, kahit isang reflection paper na lang o isang video na lang ipapadala nila. And then, yun nga rin, very challenging din dahil nga iba-ibang courses, dahil required nga to sa UP Baguio. So may mga blocks na, kunwari, com sila, o kaya fine arts, o kaya math, or physics. So parang iba-iba yung kanilang interest eh. So somehow, nag-a-adjust kami sa, kunwari, if an infographics ba papagawa namin, or pwede bang PowerPoint presentation, yung kanilang format. So mga ganong klase. So we are really making some adjustments. Kaya parang work in progress nga siya eh, di ba? Throughout the semester, parang nakakaroon pa rin siya mga last minute na mga adjustments. So ganon. So it's very challenging.
Ma'am Ana, may dadagdag
Yes,
mo?
oo. Bago ako sumagot, magpapasalamat muna ako at babatiin ko yung mga kasama ko sa UPPN kasi nakalimutan kong sabihin, sa amin ay relay teaching. Hindi lang isang tao ang nagtuturo ng Science 11. So, binabati ko, nandito rin si Ma'am Luz Gomez, co-writer din natin siya sa Science 11, si Ma'am Cyrus Miliado, Ma'am Emma Ruth Bayogan, Mr. Leaf Gamalo, Ma'am Layar Murao, Sir Mac Achondo, Ma'am Ruth Gamboa, and Sir Ting Nanyola, ang mga kasama ko. So, as you can imagine, iba-ibang nagtuturo. So, since 10 yun, tagka 10% ang per module. So, iba-iba din ang approach. Meron din yung katulad ng minention ni Ma'am Ivy at saka ni Ma'am Zeni, nagpapasubmit ng IEC materials, merong mga nagpapagawa ng concept maps. Depende nga din kung anong major ng mga estudyante. Kasi kung com yan, very expressive sila. Gusto nila yung group work. Minsan gusto nilang mag-debate, mag-discuss or mag-enact sila ng isang concept. Ina-allow din yun ng mga kasama natin. So, merong mga bid experiments, merong kay Ma'am Luz, reflection paper. So, nag-iiba-iba talaga ang strategy. So, depende dun sa nagtuturo ng module. Ang sa amin ay pinipili namin yung module kung saan ang feeling namin, nabibigyan namin ng katarungan yung module na yun. Depende sa aming specialization. So, nag-work naman siya. Dito sa remote learning, medyo mahirap nga. Kasi lalo na kung group work, pwede mo silang i-divide sa meeting rooms. Pero since 1 hour, 1.5 hours lang, magkukulang talaga yun. Kailangan pa ng another session. So, mako-comment ko lang din yung nireport ni Ma'am Angel kanina kasi overwhelming talaga ang material, pero pipili lamang tayo siguro ng isa o dalawang main takeaway points natin per module, tapos i-link natin sa mga sumusunod hanggang mag-reach tayo dun sa module number 10. Tapos na-mention din ni Ma'am Angel kanina na naiinggit siya dun sa may 50% attendance sa remote learning. Ma'am, huwag ka pong mainggit kasi sa akin, ang dami nga pong nag-a-attend, hindi naman po nagsasalita. Parang wala lang din sila doon. Nagtanong ako sa estudyante, sabi niya, ay ma'am, kasi we are still in bed. Hindi sila mag-o-open ng kanilang camera. Pero ang nakakatuwa naman, nasasubmit naman nila, nagagampanan nila yung mga ni-require mo na assignments. Oo, na isasubmit nila on time. Siguro mga isa-dalawa lang din yung mahilig mag-bargain, maghihingi ng extension of deadline, mga ganyan. Pero in general ay parang okay naman sila sa
kasi
course
ma'am,
natin.
yung oras ng klase namin, 7 a.m.
Hala, ang aga naman. Pag 10 o'clock,
parang... Kahit nga ako, hirap pumasok na alas 7 ng umaga. Kahit
pa sila.
Ma'am Ivy. Ma'am Angel, if Lugaw is live kay Ma'am Ivy, paano naman sa UPV? How do you take teaching? Yung mga concept na ganyan.
Yung sa assessment naman po ng skills-based science concept, And speaking of patok, yung patok kasi sa kanila ngayon yung TikTok. So kung ano yung, for example, merong experiment, tapos gusto malaman kung ginawa ba talaga nila, tama ba yung paggawa nila ng process, they can show it actually using TikTok. And ano lang siya, like 30-second video lang siya, pero meron na silang mga description or ano, very creative sila. And in terms naman doon sa mga infographics at saka sa IEC, actually magaling yung mga outputs ng mga students, ang galing nila.
Totoo.
Pero
Mga products of K-12, magaling sa mga
po,
ganyan.
mabilis at magaling. Pero meron po akong mga nabasa sa Twitter na nagrereklamo yung mga students. Kasi puro na lang daw IEC. Bakit daw halos lahat na lang ng subject kada module? Bakit may
IEC
mga
na.
pa-IEC? Parang kasi nagagalingan kami sa inyo. So yun, parang mayroong iba nagrereklamo. Tinry ko kasi hanapin yung Science 11 Award sa Twitter. Tapos dun ko nababasa yung mga ibang, may ibang mga good yung kanila sinasabi, may iba naman, yung actually yung nabasa ko dun ng mga hindi maganda ay about sa demand ng activities. Pero yung good naman ay about daw yung activities, nag-e-enjoy daw sila. Meron din dong mga teachers na nasa-shout out nila sa Twitter, pero good naman. Yun.
Okay,
So
sige,
kami sa
isasarado ko. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
we try to limit yung at least for Sci 11, parang one lang, ma'am, tama ma'am Aimee, isa lang beses lang yung nagpa-infographics. We try to have a variety talaga or a diversity of activities. So when we redesigned yung modules for Sci 11 here in UPLB, chinek talaga namin muna, naggawa kami ni Ma'am Aimee, nagawa kami ng listahan kung ano yung mga activities, so hindi masyadong overlap or hindi mas mataas yung points ng isang activity over another. Kasi nga, nakikita rin ng students yung point distribution. Ay, bakit ito? Ganito kalaki yung points na. Tapos ito, ay pare-pareho lang naman yung modules. So even before we give out the modules, tinitingnan na rin namin kung ano yung hatian or gaano ba ka-demanding sa estudyante. Nung nag-start kami last year, tama ba last year lang, ng online, ng ating remote learning, ang dami naming activities kasi everybody, nung nag-write ng modules, ay parang may gustong ibida o ito yung activity namin. But nung niredesign namin for this semester, nag-tear down talaga kami ng mga activities. Some of the activities, we put it there pero hindi sila graded assessment for them to actually practice on. Pero hindi. So, hindi kami nag-expect na magsasubmit sila on those activities. But they can do it to practice on. Tapos meron lang kaming a few, siguro mga 1 to 2 lamang per module ang pinapasubmit namin. Personally, I still feel na marami pa rin kaming pinapagawa. But hopefully, this one is a little bit better than yung last offering namin. And hopefully, we improve pa over time sa ating mga types of assessment that we give. Sige, Ma'am Aimee.
I think siguro yung next question very much related dun sa sinagot ni Ma'am Ivy, pero siguro buksan na rin natin yung usapan with all of our participants this afternoon na hindi na lang sa ating panelists. Anyone can chime in. So ang tanong ni Ma'am Mary Joyce, hi Ma'am. Were there any attempts to decrease the activities regardless of format to just 1 to 2 per module? So baka with UP Los Baños we did, pero baka may iba din po kayong ginawa sa inyong mga kapwa CUs, how were you able to modify or trim down the activities? Kami kasi nag-reduce talaga kami kasi we were feeling the burden of our students.
Sa amin din, sa UP Baguio, 1 activity per module na rin.
Kami din. Ako din sa klase. 1 activity. Kasi dati, Diyos ko, walang estudyante talaga. Ano ba yan sa 11? Grabe. Puro, kala major.
Papanggap na major.
Oo, kala major daw, sabi. O sige nga, 1 activity na lang. Pero may blooper kami ngayong SEM. Remember the activity doon sa genetics. We had this online activity na mayroong actually siyang mayroong siyang student guide saka teacher guide.
Na-send yung teacher guide.
Hindi.
Available lang.
Nakuha nila yung teacher guide.
Paano nila nakuha, sir?
I don't know. Pero ang nakakatuwa pa, yung sinabit nila, kung ano yung nandun sa yung, the guide itself that is found on the net, yun mismo ang pinag-submit nila. Tapos yung boxes kung saan lalagay yung sagot, doon na rin nilagay yung sagot. Pero nandun na rin yung exactly the same. Yung module, it's yung ano mismo ng guide, na teacher's guide. Kasabi ko, patay. For last semester, walang nakakuha ng ganun. We also used the same exercise last semester. But this semester, nakuha nila. Kaya marunong talaga estudyante natin.
Ay, nako.
Marunong.
Hindi
Magaling talaga.
magkonfiansa.
Hindi talaga.
Oo. Pati yung you're making your exams or quizzes using Google Docs. Rather Google Forms ba 'yon? Nakikita pala yung ano niyan, yung code, no? So within sa code, nandun yung mga answers, kaya huwag kayong magbigay ng answers, no, in your online Google Form exam. Nakikita ng mga estudyante. Delikado. Ang dami nilang hacks. Oo, alam nila.
Pag yung sa VLE ba, mas relatively safer yon pag doon. Kasi di ba pag in-upload mo yung questions, may mga answers na rin para na-check na kaagad, may scores na kaagad eh.
Oo, safer yata. Pero yung VLE kasi for some students, nahirapan silang mag-access. Kaya hindi siya, at least sa amin, sa UP Systemwide.
Opo, meron po ditong nilagay si AVP Vanji. May concern din po ba ang CUs regarding students uploading materials sa Course Hero without permission?
Banggit po kasi yung teacher guide nakuha. Kasi baka mamaya nandun na, hindi natin alam.
Actually, ma'am, sa Science 11 sa Los Baños, may na-notify sa amin. Even the students are actively reporting to us kasi we try to establish active communication with our students. Pinost din namin sa GC namin to. Meron isang estudyante na yung isang naming open-ended question sa module nilagay sa Course Hero para ipasagot sa mga experts. And binacktrack ko nga din po.
In 15 minutes daw may sagot.
Opo, pero hindi po tama. Kaya
Yun lang.
ko din po yung sample answer para we could double check. So ang ginagawa po namin dyan, we shift things around. So minsan ito yung itatanong namin, minsan yung question number 3 lang itatanong namin for the semester. Kung kunyari for one requirement, Luzon lang na grade ang aming ipapasubmit, yung ibang section, Visayas, yung iba Mindanao. So we give it a mix. Yun din naman po yung advantage ng mga modules. Kaya po marami yung ating mga activities dyan. Pwede po nating paghalu-haluin kasi naka-align pa rin naman siya dun sa mga outcomes. So we can just simply pick. I know nakaka-overwhelm nga po siya kasi talagang all of our module writers, sina Sir Rex, excited. Dati po 11 lahat yung modules na yan. Nagtalo-talo pa po kami para ma-trim down yan. Di pa po, Ma'am Joy?
Yeah.
Mary.
Na-imagine ko
ako dito.
Imagine ko si
Actually
Sir
po,
Ivan.
sinabihan ko yung mga students ko, kaya masyadong maraming activities kasi ang gagaling ng mga module writers. They are actually all experts sa ganong field kung saan sila nagsulat.
Pero pinagmamalaki po namin na ang Science 11 faculty ang pinakamasayahin. Meron tayong TikToker dito. At saka very, very close po kami. Miss na lang po namin na isa't isang tagal na po namin hindi nagkikita.
Oo nga, dapat nga, di ba?
Napurnado yung UP Mindanao natin na trip.
Diba?
Tama.
Maniningil po kami dyan soon.
Pag namalay ang
We'll be
COVID.
bringing along our growing faculty of Science 11 teachers.
Oo nga.
UP Mindao, sabi ni Sir Nathaniel, tanda pa rin yung usapan natin.
Oo, kasi usapan natin sa Samal Island yung next.
Diba?
Hindi ko yun makalimutan.
Diba? May mga tanong pa po ba tayo that you would
Ayan na.
like clarification on? Kasi nakita po natin na mukhang kailangan talaga we look over again our modules, we check on the activities, yun yung mga kailangan natin tingnan, what to include, what to exclude, and what are activities that we can opt to offer for another day or another SEM para we could move things around para ma-prevent din natin yung constant exposure ng ating mga courses sa mga Course Hero. Although, for the most part, wala pa naman po kami na-encounter na na-upload na Science 11 module sa Course Hero. So far, wala pa naman po.
Question lang, that one question.
Oo.
Teka muna, may issue pala ngayon. I don't know. Di ba nabasa niyo yung memo from the VP regarding the use only of
Ay,
UPB
oo.
email. Kasi I don't know, baka mali pagkaintindi ko kasi sabi bawal daw gumamit ng messenger. So,
Ay,
di
ano
ba?
lang po yun for
Ano?
sharing our learning materials. But for
Pero,
communication, we still make
Pwede.
use of Facebook.
okay.
Okay lang po yun. Kasi may mga data-data po tayo ng mga
Okay, good.
estudyante.
Kasi announcement lang yun, ng mga ganun, mga questions lang nila, but never assignments or learning material. So, pwede pala. That's good.
I-share ko lang po yung result ng ating Mentimeter. So, ang pinakamalaki is one of the experience na natutunan ng ating mga faculty teaching Science 11, pinakamalaki po ay challenging. So, malamang galing po ito sa
Ayan. Ka-connectivity issue ka, ma'am.
Putol. Ma'am.
Naputol si ma'am.
Yes po.
Naririnig niyo na po ako?
Ayan. Yan.
Yes po.
Yan.
Pero di namin makita yung screen.
Ames, wala pang screen.
Habang wala pang screen, shoutout din sa mga taga-UP Baguio faculty na nandito ngayon. Aming mga junior faculty na masisipag. And I'd like to thank din si Noel Galido who helped in preparing the PowerPoint presentation. Joining us are Mavs, Dane, Meiji, and Jeno and Brian. Ayan. Hello! Hindi lumalabas yung Mentimeter. Doc, nag-inquire ako sa UR namin. Ano pa rin daw, in place pa rin ang multiplier sa GE course.
Ay, okay po.
Oo, ba't pala sa amin?
Oo.
Yan, pasensya na po. Ganito po talaga pag live, nawawala din po ako sa klase ko. Kayo din po ba, nabuboot out kayo sa mga klase nyo?
Oo, one time nangyari sa akin yun, last meeting na namin, nagre-report sila, tapos ako yung nawala sa klase. Buti na lang yung may sabi ko, take over ka muna, paki-record. Doon sa isang student. Nangyayari talaga.
Ako, ang experience ko, yung students talaga yung nabuboot out. So, mamaya meron na akong message, ma'am, sorry po, talaga kasi nawala kaming connection. So, since start pa lang ng semester, lahat ng recordings, lahat ng sessions ay hindi required ang students to attend. Okay? But those who would like to hear the lecture given live, they can come in. Pero recorded talaga yung lahat ng lecture, tapos sina-upload. So that students na 8:30 kasi din yung klase ko, so ayaw din nilang gumising ng ganung kaaga. They can access it. Pag ready na sila, malakas na internet nila, tapos pwede lang ulitin. Nakikita naman dun sa kung ilang beses, ilan na nakapag-view nung ano. So, yun. Kaya, Ma'am Queenie, yung huwag kang mag-alala kasi kahit dun sa ko, siguro mga half nga ng class, less than half the class ang uma-attend. But I don't take it against them. Talagang, sabi ko, kapag kaya nyo, manood na lang kayo. Tapos yun nga, I inform them 2 ways. I inform them via messenger kasi I know some of them would not open the LMS kaagad, Pero mayroong same announcement dun sa Google Classroom para kung yung student hindi naman talaga nagme-messenger, nakikita niya yung same message na nakukuha nung the rest of the class. So para pantay-pantay pa rin sila. But yun nga, most students, mas mabilis or lahat ng phone nila usually may messenger. So, yung mga agarang, nag-upload ako ng video, check it out. Mabilis nila nakukuha kaagad. Or, ito na nga yung activity natin for this week. So, rin ako, na-bother din ako dun sa announcement na bawal mag-Facebook until binasa. Pwede naman pala, as long as hindi yung material ang i-upload mo sa Facebook. Okay? Instead, yun lang a little bit of announcements, pwede mo siyang ilagay doon. Minsan, nilalagay namin yung kumustahan kasi aside from yung lesson, sometimes you need to check on your students if they are still mentally well dun sa okay pa ba yung mga courses, okay pa or okay pa rin ba yung mga assignment deadlines natin, anong kailangan natin gawin para ano. So, yun lang yung idadagdag natin, at least for the GE courses, to check on our students kung sila pa ay nakaka-cope pa. Kasi that is also our way to parang yun yung ginagawa namin towards the end, ma'am. Ay, okay pa rin ba kayo? Tapos yung GC namin sa LB, magtatanong, ay, bawasan na natin tong activity na to kasi hindi na nila kayang gawin to. So towards the end, parang pababa yung ano namin. So we started with, kailan ba yung parang 3 to 4 yung activities namin. Pero yung last offering namin, sa gitna ng sabi ni Ma'am Aimee, ay, bawasan nyo na yung ano natin kasi feel na natin talaga yung burden ng estudyante. So, yun din, very active yung aming GC group ng Sci 11 here in UPLB. At saka yung sharing namin ng material. Yun po.
Ano dito ang namimiss ng mag-perform sa classroom? Pa-heart emoji nga po. Sino yung namimiss na yung nagpa-perform talaga yung rarampa sa classroom? Okay,
miss ko na magsuot ng ng
pambaba.
Ng pambaba.
Yes, Meiji from UP Baguio. Hi, Meiji. Oh,
Si
miss
Sir
na
J.
daw.
Si Sir J. Parang hindi ako nakarinig kay Sir J. Sir
Hello
J.
po.
Sir J.
Yes, Sir Rex.
All-time high pa rin yung nahirapan sila sa mood.
Oo nga po eh. Noted. Kaya nyo po, papasimplihin natin.
Oo
Dahil po ang isa sa mga tututukan natin ngayong ngayong semester at saka itong darating na mid-year eh. Sisimplihan po natin.
Pati faculty nawiwindang dun sa module na yun eh. Complex. Very complex.
Sir J, pa-heart reacts na po. Ito po yung complex.
Pasensya na po kung the title speaks for itself.
Oo nga.
Pero naman, we appreciate the passion Sir J gave in. Talaga namang binawasan na po niya yan nung lagay na yan. Talagang the concept. Di ba, Sir Rex?
Kaya ng ulit na yan, binago niya.
Kailangan pa po natin with all of the changes in the curriculum and also with the GE course like Science 11 and like we're constantly changing. Mababago din po ito with your help. Kaya nga po importante that we receive feedbacks from the module kasi that's the only way our writers can help us improve on this. Okay, so may mga questions pa po ba tayo? Kung wala, magpapain pa po ako ng question. Ito, sino naman sa inyo ang naka-receive na magandang peer support as you were teaching Science 11? We know that Science 11 is challenging. So, sino sa inyo nakakuha ng magandang peer support? So, pa-clap naman to appreciate the peer support you've been receiving for Science 11. Okay, si Ma'am Meiji, si Maverick, si Ma'am Tin Abenis. Sige, magtawag tayo, Sir Pleto, Sir Vince. Paki-share naman ang nakuha mong peer support and how did it help you with Science 11?
Hey, ma'am. So, since first time po ako magturo ng Science 11 this semester, so nagtatanong lang po ako sa GC namin, sa group chat natin. And very, ang bibilis po mag-reply kung how to approach this activity, something like that. So, very helpful po ng team ng Sci 11 sa UPLB.
Okay, thank you, Sir Vince. Tawag tayo sa ibang campus. Ang kakilala ko lang dito sa ibang campus is si Ma'am Meiji Bagangao from UP Baguio. Ma'am Meiji, how was it that you received peer support for teaching Science 11?
Hi po, good afternoon everyone. I guess it's the same with other CUs po, more of parang yung sa group chat talaga, Facebook group chat, parang yung Facebook ko ngayon napupuno na lang ng pure subjects with peer faculties and with other and with students. Pero for us din po, I would really appreciate na parang every module we update na parang updated na po yung activity for this module, for your comments. Tapos as in, I appreciate the effort of all junior faculty, lalo na ngayon, puro junior po yung naghahawak ng Sci 11. So there is a lot of fresh ideas that we share with each other through doon sa group chat or kaya parang kami, minsan nagtatalo pa kami parang masyado atang, parang kukulangin ata yung 2 hours sa exam, may mga ganun. Parang masyado atang marami yung yung mga kahit ganun. And even juniors kami, we also have like since nangangapa kami sa BLE na parang paano to i-upload, paano yung settings nito. So even those simple tasks, sobrang, they would really help, we would really help each other. Yan lang din po.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Meiji. Sir Nats, how do we recruit more GE faculty, lalo na sa Science 11? Kasi ito yung isa sa mga challenges na binanggit ni Ma'am Angel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oo. Ang ginagawa ko, pinapasa ko lang naman sa mga younger faculty members. O, ikaw naman, you help in teaching this course. Ganun lang ginagawa. Di ba, Angel? Si Angel, si Jerry, yan, mga tinatawag namin. Patulong dito.
Natawa na lang si Ma'am Angel. Pala kayo.
Masisipag yan sila.
Ma'am Mary, pa-share po ng system ninyo ng mentoring of our new Science 11 GE faculty.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Like what Vincent said kanina, the group, our UPLB Science 11 group has an active group chat. And we also have a very active coordinator, si Frame, si Ma'am Aimee, who has set up all the materials now readily available sa lahat na nagtiteach. So very useful particularly for the newcomers.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Mary.
Welcome.
Gusto lang i-roll call yung ating mga writers kasi talagang reunion po actually natin ito. Nakikinig lang po kayo sa kwentuhan namin. Joke lang po. We have here one sharing from Sir Mac Acondo from UP Mindanao. Hi, Sir Mac. I receive updated activities, PowerPoint, some quizzes from other profs handling the module, especially when I first taught Module 7. Thank you daw, Sir Ting Nanyola. May shoutout din si Sir Mac. Okay, if we have no other questions, i-wrap up ko lang yung ating mga natutunan for this afternoon. So we divided our discussion into 4 sections on the content, the teacher, the activities, and possible way forwards to improve our offering of Science 11. Ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa ating mga panelists who have shared wholeheartedly at tiniis po nilang huwag lumagpas, kahit lumagpas pa po ng 5 minutes kasi it was really very difficult to condense all of what they're feeling for Science 11 in just 5 minutes. Pero they mastered the art of synthesis. So they mentioned that the modules made it easy for us to transition to remote learning, pero it's not without any challenge. Tulad po ng sabi ni Ma'am Angel. We have to reevaluate our selected topics. Shout out ulit kay Sir Jay. And then we need to reflect the number of activities that we assign for each module. Again, taking into consideration our students and also our own capabilities in offering this asynchronously. And we demand for more teachers, more exciting teachers for Science 11. We invite everyone who hasn't been teaching Science 11, please join our very happy group. Na kahit challenging ang Science 11, we make do by one. We relay teach, we mentor with one another. We have a very madaldal GCs to share our insights, our point of views, and we are very helpful with one another. Ayan, may panawagan tayo. Sir Vince Fuertes, please join us. So be one of us. Be one of the Science 11 faculties to help us promote a sense of fulfillment in teaching this GE course. So we once again thank our panelists. Let me call on ABP Banji to award the certificates of recognition. Tapos we'll have our photo op.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma'am Aimee. So at this point, I'd like to thank our panelists, starting with Ma'am Eileen Dupo. So the certificate of appreciation is presented for imparting her invaluable knowledge as moderator during the Science 11G conversations of the UP System GE Conference 2021 with the theme Baon-Bidahan, how did you teach GEX in your CU given this 5th day of May 2021, signed VP Cynthia Bautista. And the similar certificate of appreciation is presented to the following panel members. So sina Ma'am Ivy Amor, Lambio, and then si Ma'am Angel Queenie Dequito, si Ma'am Annabelle Novero, and si Ma'am Zenaida Baonan. So maraming salamat po sa ating panelists at maraming salamat din sa inyong lahat for joining us in this Science 11 GE conversation. Ramdam ko po yung warmth ng grupong ito. So nakaka-enjoy po ang exchange at naramdaman ko rin po yung longing ng bawat isa na magkita-kita ulit. Para pong yung math 10 kaninang morning. So sabi ko nga po, mag-proposal lang po pag ready na mag-workshop na face-to-face. Ready na po yung ating proposal. So maraming salamat po muli. And I'd also like to thank our support secretariat. So from the OVPAA, we have Kai, Steph, and Cars. And Rika and Dax manning the Q&A link. And then, gusto ko rin pong i-remind na meron pa po tayong GE Conversations bukas. So SAS 1 at saka History 1 sa umaga. And next week, ang ating last 2 days of GE Conversations on May 10 and 11. And lastly, kasi last day na po ngayon, kung nakatanggap po kayo ng email inviting you to respond to the GE faculty, GE program, faculty survey. Kung hindi pa po kayo nakaka-respond, sana po makasagot po kayo. So maraming salamat po muli at ingat po tayo lagi.
Picture po muna daw tayo. Thank you po ulit sa ating GE Technical Working Group at saka sa mga nag-assist po sa atin this afternoon.
Oo nga, Ma'am Aimee, maraming salamat. Nakalimutan kong banggitin ng ating TWG Implementation Group. Kasama po natin ngayon dito sina Sir Mo ng UPLB at saka si Ma'am Nak Gabriel ng UP Diliman. So ang members po ng GE Implementation Group ay ang ating mga GE Director at saka GE Coordinators. Joined by Ma'am Alisa and Ma'am Pat as members at large. So thank you po.
Picture po tayo. 1, 2, 3. 2 more. 1, 2, 3. Pass. There. Okay na po. Thank you. Thank you po.
Thank you. Salamat.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sa face-to-face
Salamat.
po.
Sene, padala mo kami ng strawberries dyan.
Pasalubong
Sige, sir.
Pasalubong exchange natin.
Oo nga, nakakamiss. Sa Mindanao daw, kailan daw.
Bye-bye po.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye.
Salamat po. Bye-bye. Ingat
Salamat
po.
Bye-bye.